Well, I am super excited to be joining all of you live today. I get to bring on Dr. Gaétan. He received his Ph.D. in 1988 from the University of Montreal in engineering physics with specialties in atomic physics, plasma physics, and laser spectroscopy. See if I can talk today. Spectroscopy. There we go. We're going to have him say that word for us 5 times fast. After 4 years of research at UCLA in fields of nuclear fission and plasma physics, he became professor and director of research at the California Institute of Human Science. The abbreviations for that is CIHS. For many years, doing research on human physiology and electrophysiology. Dr. Chevalier also taught quantum biology at Quantum University and is currently research faculty at CIHS. And he has been doing a great job as the director of the Earthing Institute since its foundation in 2007. And so for those of you who are like, show me the science, I want to see the science, this broadcast is for you. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on Dr. Gaétan. How are you today?
I am very good. Thank you for receiving me.
Absolutely. I'm very excited to have you here as our guest. I would like to have you go ahead and share a little bit more about this fascinating topic that you're going to be discussing at the Energy Healing Conference.
Yes, so I'm going to present information that we have on the health benefits that people have experienced on earthing. So you can imagine, since the foundation of the Earthing Institute in 2007, we receive a lot of testimonials of people who have been helped. So I'm going to share what we found there. And also, I'm going to show you a number of research projects that demonstrate the exact thing why people are getting so much benefit from being in contact with the earth. So we're going to also explain the basics of what earthing is and why the contact with the earth, which is earthing is about, makes so benefits, and why the planet is actually a battery that we
Yeah.
use to recharge us, at least in the past when we were in contact with it.
Yeah. Well, that makes a huge difference. Now, I joined your Facebook group that you have. It's
Thank
called
you.
Earthing Insiders, and I absolutely love it. Will you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Yes, well, Earthing Insiders is a forum where people who have questions or would like to know if other people have experienced similar things because they have tinklings, they have different things. So it's a way to connect to a community of like-minded people to share the information about what their experience has been on Earthing and what this discovered, and anything else that is want to talk about, as long as it's related to
Yeah.
earthing, it's welcome there. And so I'm the moderator, whatever. I'm not the only person, actually. There's some other moderators,
Yeah.
but
There's a lot of
uh,
people on there. There's thousands of people
yeah,
on.
there's we're about 8,500 now.
Mhm.
So if you have a condition or something, where you get started and said, "Am I doing this right, or is there something? Is this strange that I feel tinklings and all of these things?" You will find somebody who said, "Oh yeah, I went through that," and explain, exactly, okay, what happened to me. And then there's five others that will come in and say, "Yeah, well, for me it was a little different and this and that." And you get some kind of a scope, of what people experience, so that you, and it's also very encouraging. You said, "Oh, I have this tingling that I can't, it's not going away." And some person will say, "Well, it lasted 2 3 weeks for me, and now blah blah blah." So all kind of things that people share and said, "Is this really working for me?" I mean, it's like, so a lot of questions that, you know um, it might be difficult to find answer, especially if you said, "Is there anybody experiencing the same thing as me?" So that's the only place you can find that. I cannot. I can tell you, yeah, we have other testimonials on something like this with you, which I do a lot. I intervene and I give people some additional information. But the sharing between people is only unique to what's happening there.
That's awesome. I love it. Now, I love the concept that you were talking about how the earth is a battery. Can you explain just a little bit more about that to the people who are viewing today?
Yes, I know it seems a new concept, and it was even a new concept for me. When I did all these studies in engineering, physics, nuclear fusion, atomic and molecular spectroscopy, or whatever. By the way, the word is spectroscopy, but anyway, that means analyzing light. That's
Okay.
what that was. The spectrum. The spectrum is the different frequencies of light. So spectroscopy is used looking at different frequencies of light, and that's what we've been doing. And we get information on the elements that emits that light. So it's very useful in analyzing, for example, in astronomy, analyzing what's inside the sun or any star. Just by looking at the light that they emit, we can say, oh, there's this density of helium, and they have some carbons, and they have this and that. It's a pretty amazing thing that we can do with spectroscopy. But anyway, that's another
That's
story.
beautiful. I just couldn't say it.
The now the Earth is a battery. So a battery has two poles, a negative pole and a positive pole. So when you plug the battery to a flashlight and you turn on the switch, what you do is you close the circuit. Then the electricity flows from one pole of the battery to the other, and so you get the light. So here in the Earth, we have the two poles, positive and negative. They're not directly connected. One, the negative pole is at the surface of the Earth, and we call that negative, and it's full of electrons. The electrons are basically, a nucleus or an atom is made of three particles. The nucleus have protons and neutrons. Circling around, which are much lighter, are the electrons. And the molecular structure in the atom coming together and working as group makes molecules. And what they share is the electrons. So the electrons are the moving parts, if you will. When we have electricity in our homes, what's moving in the wire is only electrons. So the electrons are very important because they're the moving part. And that's the one that we actually are used to be fed with coming from the surface of the earth. Okay. Now I can go why the earth is a battery, and it's very interesting because the energy is actually come from the sun. The sun is powering the earth. If the sun was going away in less than an hour, all the energy of the earth will go away. But yeah, but what happened is that all life on earth evolved in contact with the earth. And what the life, the intelligence of the life itself, as Cohen says, let's take advantage of that. It's a source of energy for us. Just like any device that we have, we bioelectric. We need those electrons. And what they do in our body is that they counterbalance the acidity that we have in our body. Or we have what is called also oxidative stress. So that means too much oxygen, too much positive charge. See, everything has to be balanced, negative or positive. Otherwise, if you go in imbalance, then you become like, whoop. In the case of human beings, if we're not in contact with the earth, what's happened is that we naturally build up positive charge. And just by breathing in, the air is normally charged positively. That's why people said they buy, negative ions device. What they do, they send negative ions in the air, and you're breathing that in, because that's not normally what happens. Unless you live close to the ocean, which I'm lucky to do, or you live close to the forest where many trees also emit, negative ions. The air is charged with positive ions, and we're breathing that all the time. Now, we used to have food that comes from the garden or from the, directly planted there, and we take it and we eat it. These were full of electrons. Now we process food that has gone through manufacturing and things like that, and all kind of things. And basically, they lack electrons. And so what they do actually, you're eating food with certain nutrition, that's fine. But at the same time, they are charged positively. So that means that they deplete you of electrons. So they basically, yeah, so you become more electropositive with time. So, and why is that? It's just the way things are, you know?
Yeah.
And the best way, I mean, it's basically the electrons is the power behind antioxidants. If you take a substance that is an antioxidant, what are you taking? A substance that is really packed with electrons. And you eat that, and these electrons help. But you never get that. I mean, it's very hard to get enough. You know, you would have to eat that. I mean, if you take a bottle of antioxidant, you'll eat the whole bottle
Yeah.
just to you try to balance things out, you know. While the natural way is you put your feet down the ground, and it does that within an hour, no problem.
That's amazing. I love that. Well, that's really what your Facebook group is all about. People can go in there and kind of get introduced to some of the concepts. But
Everything,
really,
yes,
if they really want to know like everything, they're going to want to really sign up for your courses, right?
yes,
Which they're all done in a way that is, it's like basically on demand. So they can go and view these recorded courses and get certifications. And
yes.
I noticed that you also have them in multiple languages too, right? There's
That's right.
English, French, and Spanish. So no matter what, that
For now,
barrier will not be there for some of those people. So
yes,
I love
yes.
that you guys have the opportunity. And so what type of a person signs up for those?
Okay, so the certificate, why we made the certification course, there's two reasons. The first reason, the first reason is because we got feedback from health practitioners and all the people who are educators and are fond of earthing and said, we want to have some credential showing that we know what we're talking about because there's so much misinformation out there about earthing.
Yeah.
Don't ground yourself if you are inside a house because the EMF will kill you. It's not happening. So it's all over the internet, you know, and people are scared. So if you want to know the real information, so we put it into a format that is only videos, easy to understand. And when you pass a little quiz, then you get a certificate that's certified at that level. We have three levels: level one for beginners, level two for intermediate, and level three for the advanced one. But already with level one, you have everything a normal person needs to know to understand how to ground properly using the different methods of grounding that exist. So that's one reason we did it, to clarify, you know, the fog around everything that's out there.
Yeah.
The second one is health practice. So the health practitioners are the one actually who came to us and said, we want to have something, you know, to have credentials so that people can, you know, see that we've done, you know, homework and that we know what we're talking about. So
Mhm.
that's what it was started actually. It's uh, through the person that is with me, you know, Katerina, is a distributor for South America. And she's the one who came to us. Hey, we need to do this. I mean, people are talking, they are talking to me also about that. But you see, I needed, you know, this has to be balanced, male, female. You know, there's a lot of women, you know, involved. I mean, Clint keeps telling me there's way more women actually buying earthing products. They're more intuitively understanding. Is the guy said, okay, well, how does it work? He said, I'm one of those. It took Clint 2 years to convince me.
Really?
Doing the research. At the end, I said, oh wow, this is for real. You know, I was not so like yes, like a lot of people are. But in any case, you know, so it's there for the people who said, look, you know, we want, you know, we have done our homework. We went to the Earthing Institute. We've done the courses, and you know, we share the information that we share there. That is the accurate information that people should know about. And so that's why we've done actually three levels because not everybody knows. You want to know the detail of why the Earth is actually a battery, and how the process work with the clouds and their UV and all of that stuff, you know. But
I think
some
it's
people,
fascinating. I love understanding like the why. It's one thing to understand that it helps you, but then to understand kind of the backstory of like,
yeah,
let's talk about it even more. I love that you guys have that available.
yeah, we have everything available. Yes. Well, I
Yeah.
can talk a little bit about it more right now if you like.
Well, I'd love to hear more. I know there's other resources that you and when we're talking about Clint, we're talking about Clint Ober. He actually came to our conference back in 2017, and his class was completely packed. Why don't you tell us about a little bit more? I'd love to learn.
More about Clint?
Just like how this whole thing got put together, and then
Okay,
yeah, like what are some of the things people can do basics, you know?
okay. Well, uh, if we go to the basics, so there's three ways you can ground, okay, yourself. First is just walk barefoot outside, or be in a lake or the ocean, you know, be somehow in physical contact with the earth. You can do gardening, you know, your hands touching the plants and
Yeah.
everything. You're grounded. Some people, you know, found that is a very nice meditation to do the
Yes.
gardening
We
while
have a
doing that.
garden in the backyard with strawberries and tomatoes and zucchini. Those are about the only thing I'm really good at growing. So I've got those things. And then my walnut tree, as it's blowing and it's got this beautiful breeze, I've got some wind chimes in the tree. So I can
Yeah.
hear that as I'm out there weeding and watering. And my strawberries, I kiss them. I tell my plants, I tell them, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for
If
being
you
here.
give them some love, that they will grow bigger. You know, there's some research by a Japanese scientist about the effect of thoughts on of water.
Dr.
Um,
Masaru Emoto.
Dr. Emoto.
Mhm.
So it shows that if you put some good thoughts in water, you get good crystals, and if you put negative
Yeah.
thoughts, so imagine your real water. So it just influenced us. So okay, so going back to the three methods, so we just spoke of the first one, direct contact with deer.
Perfect.
The second one is using, yeah, this is the earthinginstitute.net. This is where you can get all the information, all the research. There's a research page, there's a course
Oh,
page,
yeah, there's a lot of great.
there's tons of testimonials. So, and if you are new, you can, there's an article how to get started on earthing.
Oh,
Anyway,
good. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. New to earthing, how to get started. So there's an article about that.
I love
And
that.
yeah, so the two other methods are through using equipment. And
Mhm.
the equipment is very simple, actually. It's some kind of a pad, okay, that is made from conducting material that has a wire that connects, this can contact with the earth. There's two ways you can do this. One is to use the grounding system of your house. So see, we have in the 60s, when a long time ago, there was only two slots, at least in North America. There was, and what happened is some people got electrocuted.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I give you a scenario that happened a lot. The toasters in those days were all made of metal, the outside and the inside. So let's say that your toaster, the hot wire touched the surface of the toaster. Now the surface of the toaster is 120 volts. So if you touch it by yourself, just like this, not a problem. But suppose you're in the kitchen and you're also touching the faucet. The faucet is grounded, it's at 0 volts. So you have all this voltage and the current flowing through you. And if your hands are dry, you're gonna just like this, you're gonna be okay. But if your hands are wet, the current will go high and it can kill you.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's what happened. Now, what the third hole that happens, you know, I think the end of the 60s, they put that out is to prevent that. Because what happened is that they ground the outside now. If the live wire goes and touch the outside, then it's going to go right into the ground. But not only that, it will create a large current that will start a breaker, and you will be safe.
Oh, wow.
That's why they made the grounding thing. But it's a ground, it's actually the same wire that goes around all of these holes, and it's connected to long rods that are planted into the soil. In fact, most of them are planted inside the cement base of the house, because cement is also conducting.
Wow.
So when done properly, it's very, very good ground.
Awesome.
Now, the problems that arise is when you have an old house that was built before in the 60s, and somebody came in and retrofitted it with the grounding system. So if it's not done properly, then you can check with the ground checker if you have a good ground.
Hmm.
That earthing.com, the company that is owned by Clint Ober,
Hmm.
they provide that. And so you will know you have a good ground. The only other possibility is that they were, and that happened in those houses, is that sometimes the electricians will connect together the neutral and the grounding, and that is a system that you cannot use because it has too much voltage on it. So you
Yeah.
have to. That's where the tricky part is. The
Yeah.
safe way that you have no problem is to use a ground rod outside.
Hmm.
Find a ground rod and connect everything to it. You can put 20 different grounding equipment on it. There's plenty of electrons, no problem.
Wow.
We've grounded, we've grounded through the same outlet, in a conference room. We grounded simultaneously from that single outlet 400 people.
Wow.
No
Serious.
problem, no problem. I
Oh,
mean, the supply of electrons is huge.
yeah.
Anyway,
That's amazing. And would you use one of those little voltage meters to see if it's working? And it was
the
still.
best way to find, if there is voltage on the line is you use a voltmeter,
Hmm.
but not all voltmeter works. You need a voltmeter that measure millivolt, which is a thousandth of a volt, AC, alternative current, not DC. DC is like a battery. It flows always the same direction. AC is what we have in our power line. It moves back and forth at 60 hertz. It's like doing this
Yeah.
60 times per second. So we want to see the AC because the AC is everywhere. So what you do is you take your voltmeter, you put it into the millivolt AC if it has that. And an easy way of doing it is to use a multimeter that is auto ranging. It will change by itself and get the right range. And so you connect the red lead to the ground hole and the black lead to a ground rod outside.
Hmm.
And the voltage there should be very small, like 1 volt or less.
That's
Okay,
awesome.
if it's more than that, might be something wrong. I mean, you can have 2 volts. Actually, the Society for the Electrical Engineers, they said up to 10 volt is okay. That's why we have commonly batteries up to 9 volts in the commerce. You
Okay.
can buy 12-volt battery, but they're not common. But for normal usage, up to 10 volts is supposed to be normal.
Yeah.
But there are some people
That's cool.
who are very sensitive. And even if there's 1 volt, 2 volts on the line,
Yeah.
they feel that. They call electrosensitive people.
Yeah.
So these people need to use a ground rod.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so some of the equipment that you're talking about when you're saying that that's another, option to get more earthing, is like the sheets, right? Or the mats
Yeah,
that people sleep on. And
yeah.
what kind of benefits would people have if they started using that? Like, especially if they're electrosensitive, then what kind of things would they experience?
Okay. Normally, electrosensitive people are people who have a lot of inflammation in the body.
Okay.
And inflammation means if you have inflammation in the body, that means your balance, positive, negative, is out of balance. So that means you have a lots of positive charge in the
Mhm.
body. Okay. and that creates a lot of problems. They found out, since they've done a lot of research in year 2000 on inflammation, and they found is at the foundation of all arthritis, autoimmune disease, cardiovascular problems, Alzheimer's, all diabetes. All of these are inflammation based. If you are grounded regularly, amazing, you don't have any of these things. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, that's
I've
actually
been grounded since, I don't know, 2000, well, at least 2007,
yeah.
all the time, and I don't have any inflammation. I know it because one time I had a problem with the tooth. I had a bridge here,
Uh-huh.
and the bridge fell off, and I had never had any pain. I went to the dentist. He says, "Your tooth that was holding the bridge is totally empty inside. There's no inflammation, no nothing." But he said, "You didn't feel any pain, any?" No.
Mhm.
Well, it prevents inflammation. So you don't have any inflammation of the gums and things like that,
Oh,
which are
amazing.
very dangerous, you know. Inflammation of the gums can kill you
Yeah.
because it can go, it can create some bacteria,
Hmm.
and then these bacteria will swallow them and go into the body. In fact, Clint Ober almost died of that.
Oh, really?
Root canal. The root canal is the worst because it's a dead bone that we have in there. So it's easy to have, bacteria build up in there.
Yeah.
And so you have to be very careful. You have to have your dentist check that regularly.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, so these are the three ways, and
Well, I got the first two. What's the third one?
the third one is using a grounding rod,
Oh, a grounding rod. Okay.
outside.
Well, that's awesome. It's very interesting because I before I lived in this house that
Oh,
we're in.
there's a fourth one. I'm
Oh,
sorry, I forgot about that.
that's okay. What's the fourth one?
And this is for the old houses mostly,
Uh-huh.
because that they don't have a ground there,
Hmm.
but their pipes is all metal and goes all the way down to the ground. So it's an excellent ground for old houses. The
Oh,
new houses often have plastic pipes, so it's
yeah.
not working. So they have the ground. So there's a fourth one,
That's
the,
awesome.
the pipes.
Yeah, well, the house that we lived in before we moved here, that particular house, it was built in the 1850s, and I loved it. It was a beautiful historical home. We renovated quite a bit of it, but there was this one flower bed just outside of one of the windows on the south side that I could not weed that particular flower bed. I just couldn't, because every time I would stick my hand in the dirt, it would shock me. It would zap me. And
Oh,
I was like, I don't know what's going on with this. Something about the grounding or
yeah.
electricity, but
Electricity is
it was
not right.
this one little section that I could not ever do anything. So
Yeah. Well, normally is close to the entrance panel where the electricity come in. Was it that region? Do you remember?
I don't believe so. I think it was at the other end of the house.
So there's some miswiring then. There's some problem
Maybe
with the
so.
wiring
We,
of the
we don't
house.
live there anymore, but there was something with that. But I wondered about that.
Yeah. Was there any high tension on the ground or outside? No.
Not that I know
So
of.
there's something in the house that was miswired.
Yeah, maybe so. But yeah, I just know that I could not weed that one particular flower bed. But I
Yeah.
absolutely love going outside and having my feet in the grass, just laying in the sun, and
Yeah.
having the sun shine down on me.
It's
This was,
wonderful because you have not only the electrons, you also have the energy of the light, which
mm,
give you vitamin D. You
mm,
get the fresh air. It's
oh yeah,
wonderful. Here
yeah,
I live in a surf town, so people
mhm,
love surfing.
oh yeah,
They're just addicted to it. I mean, it's unbelievable. These people go at 6 a.m. They and any season, the weather, so the water sometimes can be like 45, 50 degrees. And these
hmm,
people go, they wetsuit and they go and do the surfing.
yeah,
I have a friend who was like that. I mean, 6 a.m. Said, if I don't do it, I don't feel the same.
wow.
So, well,
They just
but because it's the best way,
mhm,
the best way to be grounded is in naked in the ocean, because even if you have a small swimsuit, it doesn't make a big difference. But
mhm,
you get the electron from all over the surface of the skin. Plus, if you do surfing, Then you get sunshine
Yeah.
that gives you vitamin D. Plus, you're out in the ocean, you're breathing negative ions,
Mm-hmm.
and you're doing sport and exercise, which makes the electrons move into the body. This is a
Oh,
perfect combination for earthing and get the electrons into your body. Perfect.
I love that. Well, so where do you live again? What city do you live in?
It's in San Diego, North County, and
Okay.
it's a little town called Encinitas.
Oh yeah.
It's a surf town.
Oh yeah. I actually did a conference in Escondido a few years ago.
Escondido, it's not too far.
Yeah, it's not too far. I remember seeing the Encinitas sign when I was driving by there. So you live right by
By
Bob.
the ocean.
You
By
live right
Bob?
by Bob Hertz,
Of
right?
course,
He
of
lives
course.
right.
I'm 1 mile from his
Are you
lab.
kidding me? Oh my heck, that is so cool.
And I'm the director of research there too. So I work
No,
with
are
Bob.
you serious? I did
Yes,
not
right?
know that. That is so cool.
Since 2010.
Well, I feel so grateful and so honored to have you coming to our conference because we do have a whole bunch of different varieties of people who attend the conference, you know. There's some people who they don't really care about the science part of it. They do what makes them feel good. They're more free-spirited. And then there's the other people who are like, they're crazy and I don't want anything to do with them. I want to know the science and
Yeah.
here they can come to your class and you're also going to be having a booth. Do you want to tell us about what's going to be going on at the booth?
Yeah, well, at the booth, I'm I'm gonna have a bunch of flyers. I'm gonna have the earthing book. I'm gonna have also a magazine uh, and now I'm blocking on her name. She is the granddaughter of the famous writer. I'm blocking on his name. Um, I can get it for a second. Anyway, so I'm gonna have some of her magazines there. I'm gonna have the earthing book, also another book about earthing with testimonial from women, written by Clint Obert's partner, Olivia Smith. The book will be there too. So there will be not so many things to sell,
Mm-hmm.
but there will be a lot of things to check out. I'm gonna have a flyer that everybody can take,
Yeah.
uh, with Clint holding a sunflower. That's funny, but it's
You're
gonna,
going to have that
and
booth.
I'm gonna be there for people to talk to me. And if they're not sure about information, they want to ask me something. So
Mhm.
I'll be around. I'll do my conference on Friday night, Friday at 5 p.m. Right on the 28th, right?
Yeah. And there will be concessions right there in the vendor hall will be open till about 3 or 4. So make sure you grab yourself a bite to eat and then head over to his class, right?
Mm.
So that's going to be
Yes,
amazing. I'm excited for all of this. And there's some great information here on the earthinginstitute.net website. If you
yes,
if you want to even just kind of brush up on it before you come to the conference, that's a great place. Or if
yes,
you can't come to the conference, you can go ahead and check that out there. But I also recommend joining this free Facebook group. It's just go to the groups and then do Earthing Insiders is the name of the group, and that's a great place that they can get more information as well, right?
yeah. Because that's a group where it's like like-minded people share information. You are alone in your corner doing grounding. So, am I doing it right? Is that okay?
Yeah,
I have strange sensation. With 8,500 people, somebody experienced something similar to you and
yeah,
said, "Hey, yeah, I went through it, and here's what happened." And it's very nice because it creates a community of people who actually can share their experience. And sometimes, they don't know if they're doing it right. Lots of times, say, "Hey, I'm newbie here, and is it better for me to buy a sheet or to use a mat or to do this?" Some people will say, "Are the patch the best really to do? What kind of conditions?" So all of that kind of questions that people ask and said, "Oh, for me, it's this for this reason." And so it's a very, very a nice community of people
yeah,
that and you cannot find that even a frequently asked questions. You have all the questions there that have been asked to us in the past 20 years, but still people want to share. When people saying, "Yeah, I have had experience, and it lasted 2 weeks for me, and then it recedes and whatever, blah blah blah." You see that you cannot get from a book
yeah.
or from
Well,
a.
there's a lot of value that comes from having a community and being with other people who are kind of interested, learning
Yeah,
about the same kind of things. I loved learning about how much the grounding can help with inflammation. See, I learned something new just as
yeah,
we were talking, and people deal with a lot of pain because of inflammation. So knowing that this would be a
yes.
natural pain relief, but also like looking at the big picture for your, health, that's a big deal. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Because, as I said, inflammation is behind so many problems that we have Alzheimer's,
Yeah.
dementia. I mean, even now they said that autistic children have inflammation in the brain too. I mean, it's all over the place. It's interesting because this research started in year 2000, and Clint started his first research project on everything in the year 2000. It's
Yeah.
kind of like they were growing simultaneously. There's so much research on inflammation, and there's so many things that are related to inflammation. Is that it's kind of scary. He said, "Wow, I want to be around it all the time." I mean, I don't want to have cardiovascular problems, or stroke, or have arthritis, or whatever, diabetes,
Yeah.
and all of this is different for everybody. There's another thing also that I want to mention because it's so common. Women, have osteoporosis, right?
Yeah.
So here's why. The reason that osteoporosis is there when you lack electrons, and yes, let's say that you have inflammation somewhere in the body. The first thing you want to preserve is the vital organs, the heart, the liver, the stomach, all of these things.
Mhm.
So if you have inflammation in one region, of your body, you don't want, to take electrons there.
Yeah.
So what is the place where you can take electrons inside the body and get some electrons and at the same time do the minimal damage to the body is through the bones.
Whoa.
So what happens then is that the bone that is supposed to be in the hips and in the big bones, well, the calciums get dislocated from them because the electrons are needed to salvage a vital organ or something. So, but the calcium then flows into the bloodstream and then create arthritis at the same time that you have lack of carbon, lack of, lack of, uh, for the bones, the lack of bone cells,
Mhm.
uh, then other place where they don't need, the calcium goes there and create arthritis and deformity of them.
Yeah.
So you're preventing another thing here. Another thing also that is for women,
Mhm.
very important. I mean, I know a few, not so many women I've seen, going through menopause from
Mhm.
before to after. But those who I've seen, including my wife, there was no problem. No hot flashes, no nothing.
What, really?
No nothing. It's
Like,
just
no
like
trouble
it
sleeping?
just stopped. Huh? No sleeping issues, no
What?
hot flashes, no of all these menstrual cramp or whatever, nothing. And then at the end, they go through it and, it stops and there's no problem. Absolutely
Wow.
nothing. Well, that's the natural way, you
Mhm.
know. The woman body is much more sensitive than the man's body. And
Mhm.
so if we are in balance there, they're feeling more. And I think that's one of the reasons why the women live longer than men. They're more sensitive, and they have to be because they're the one who bear the child, and they need to be sensitive to what happens to the child. If the child will not be nourished or something's going to happen. So it
Mhm.
makes perfect sense that the women are more sensitive, and at the same time, being more sensitive, they react to bring the body in balance faster than men would do. So I think that's my 2 cents here on
Well,
that.
there's so much good information here. I'm very excited. As you were talking, I had these memories. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I bought my very first grounding mat when I lived in Clinton," and I was trying to figure out what year that was. That was 2005 when I bought my very first grounding mat, and I didn't
Wow.
even know about anything about energy healing or whatever. What I noticed, the reason why I bought it was because it made me feel different.
Mm.
It was like a gentleman at like a home and garden show or whatever, and I could feel the difference. And then We did. We plugged it in through a little rod, and I totally forgot about that. Maybe it was Clint. I don't even know,
Maybe it was. There
So
was not so many people who knew in 2005 about
I
this.
know. That's really cool. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you this weekend. The Energy Healing Conference is coming up, you guys. Those of you who are watching this, if you don't know about it yet, you can go to energyhealingconference.com. If you would like free tickets, I do have some more free tickets. You can email me directly. Here's my private email, tammy@hopehavenevents.com. As of right now, we have over 2,500 people that are registered for this event. This is coming up Friday and Saturday. There's vendors, 150 vendors you can go and browse through. There are tons of different activities in addition to the lectures and the classes that you can also have a hands-on experience with many of those speakers. Is there anything else that you'd like to add about your class specifically, Dr. Gaétan?
Well, I just encourage people to check it out, and at least take the level 1 because it's going to answer so many questions, you
Yeah.
know. And I'm looking forward to seeing you at the conference and my presentation. And
Yeah.
you'll learn a lot of stuff there too.
I'm
So,
very excited.
yes.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much, and we'll see you
Okay.
again this weekend. Woohoo!
Thank you. Yes.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.